Hey Limitless Nation, today you're in for a real treat. Today you get to learn directly from Dr. Steve G. Jones. Dr. Steve G. Jones is a renowned hypnotherapist, author, and speaker. He has been featured in Forbes and People magazines. TV network appearances include ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, and the Bravo Network. He has written over 22 books on hypnotherapy and recorded more than 9,000 hypnosis recordings. He is regularly called upon by sales teams to boost salesperson motivation. His straightforward techniques have significantly and consistently increased sales. His clients include top executives, actors, directors, and producers. Now, Dr. Steve travels the world teaching hypnosis in such places as Japan, Spain, France, Canada, Mexico, and all across the United States. In today's masterclass, you are going to learn from the master himself, Dr. Steve G. Jones. Let's dive into it.
Well, before you dive into today's masterclass session, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the subscribe button below. It allows you to receive notification bell every single time we have uploaded a new video and showing you how to live a limitless life. Now, if you want to dig deeper on what you need to do to hunt your future, make sure you watch the interview that I've done with Donna Vaughn at huntyourfuture.com. It will show you how you can hunt your future on every aspect of your being. Plus, you're going to receive tips and secrets on what you need to do to tackle your days on a regular basis. Now, let's dive into today's masterclass sessions.
Welcome, Dr. Steve G. Jones.
Thanks, Donovan. Good to be here.
Absolutely, and we're thrilled to have you here with us. Dr. Steve, is there anything that we did not mention in the bio that you would like to share with the Limitless Nation?
Well, there are probably lots of things. Let me see. Well, I'm going to Costa Rica soon. Going to be hanging out there with Michael Beckwith from The Secret at a retreat. So that'll be fun. So I'm very much a spiritual person. I think I would have been considered a monk back in the day. So I'm always looking for spiritual retreats and stuff like that. So big fan of that stuff.
Awesome. Dr. Steve, here at the Limitless Nation, we have a tradition of starting each and every interview with a limitless quote or mantra or affirmation. So do you have such a quote or mantra or even affirmation that you have embedded into your life on a daily basis?
I think most people who know me would say that my mantra would be the Nike / Michael Jordan mantra of just do it. I like to get things done and just, cut right through everything and get it done.
I like it. I like it. It actually reminds me of a quote by W. Clement Stone, who says, "Do it now."
Yeah, there you go. I like it.
Yes. So you like to do things now and move forward, even imperfect action, right?
Right, because no action's ever perfect. So yes, absolutely.
So, Dr. Steve, in the vein of doing things imperfectly but still moving forward, what are some difficulties or challenges or even setbacks, possibly a failure, that you've had to overcome to get to where you are now?
Well, I've had quite a few. When I was a kid, my mom died when I was 6, so that was fairly devastating. And my stepmom came on the scene when I was 10. That didn't go so well. We eventually got along. We get along well now. Now that I'm 51, we get along just fine. But when I first starting out life, it's a bit of an emotional wound to start with. A missing piece. So that kind of, I think, held me back in a number of areas.
Wow, that's got to be tough, starting at a young age without that figure in your life to help you move forward and to support you. And you managed to get through that, it seems.
So far, so good.
Well, that's good. Now, Dr. Steve, in going through that difficult situation, what was the point where everything shifted? Because now you're a doctor. You are highly respected and a professional in your field. How did you make the shift from going from that difficult situation to now being a success and living your limitless life?
Well, it took a long time, lots of introspection, lots of figuring things out, lots of making the wrong mistakes, especially relationship-wise, because that's a relationship wound, bonding with the primary female figure in your life and not having a template for doing that because of that person being removed. So I just had to find a lot of resources and do a lot of introspection and make a lot of mistakes. And that's pretty much been my trajectory.
Okay. But you've always kept moving forward.
Absolutely, yeah. As the humans were programmed for that. The genome wants to reproduce. It wants to do the next thing. So we've all got that. Let's move forward and make something happen. So I got on that conveyor belt, the good old genetic conveyor belt, and that seemed to do 90% of the heavy lifting for me. And here I am.
Dr. Steve, with all these things going on, what are you working on now?
Hope you enjoyed the masterclass session so far. Before we get into the second half of the session itself, it is very crucial for you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, as I really don't want you to miss out on another masterclass where I'm going to share with you what other expert celebrities, Fortune 5000 companies do to become successful and live a limitless life. So make sure you subscribe right now, and every single time we upload a new video, you will receive a notification bell. This allows you to enjoy the masterclass on the regular basis. So make sure you subscribe right now. Well, as you are ready, let's get into the second half of the masterclass session.
As with any given time, we've got a number of projects going on. Our mutual friend Joe Vitale, we've got a lot of projects I'm working on with him, mostly wealth related. We do a series called The Wealth Trigger. We've been producing those for almost 10 years now, I guess, and we're quite a bit into it. So we're producing a new one about every other year now. I'm also producing something called Dream Life Mastery, which is going to be launched very soon, and always doing new stuff. Got a project with Kevin Harrington, the original shark on Shark Tank. So lots of good stuff.
Awesome. So where can the Limitless Nation go to learn more about these amazing projects and adventures that you find yourself on?
Well, those you'd have to probably get on the various email lists for them. So I'm not quite sure if there's one central hub where you can learn about all that. But I do have a resource if you want to learn about me in general and what I offer, and that would be stevegjones.com.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. That's Steve G. Jones.
Yep, you got it.
Yep. Okay. Now, Steve, what are you a doctor in?
My doctorate's in educational administration, so I'm trained to be the president of a university, and I don't work in that capacity. Instead, I oversee our 22 different global certification programs where we have thousands of students. So it's sort of a backup plan in case there becomes some national regulation on this sort of post-secondary education. And I've got all the credentials that I need to continue overseeing our various certification programs.
Wow, that sounds really intense, having that much. Wow. Dr. Steve, what was in your journey towards becoming a doctor? What was something you felt was holding you back from really achieving that goal?
Well, there's always the time and the money. And, when I was finishing my doctorate, it's interesting because I was already in my 40s when I was finishing. And so just like just like a lot of kids, I went to college and got my bachelor's degree, but then I took a lot of time off. And then I went back and got my master's, my specialist, and my doctorate later on. So there was that. I was a bit older than people normally are when they're pursuing that level of education. So I imagine there were some cognitive difficulties that a younger person wouldn't have faced.
Okay. Now, somewhere along the line, did you teach yourself hypnotherapy or NLP? How does that play into this?
Hypnotherapy, I started studying in the 80s. And there are schools on it. I run a school of hypnosis, but there isn't a requirement at least not in the United States, on a national level. So it's not like if you want to be a medical doctor, you take a certain number of prerequisites, and that's the same for every school. For hypnotherapy, it's not the same. It's just every school teaches what they want. And so I had to kind of patch it together. That's why I put together a school of hypnotherapy that I think makes things simpler and allows students to do things in a more streamlined way. But back in my day, we had to, we had to kind of piece it all together. So I just took every training I could find.
So how did hypnotherapy help you?
Hypnotherapy helped me a lot because I was, as I mentioned, my mom died when I was 6. So I had an emotional, kind of lag on me, pulling me back, slowing me down. So that's what I really turned to it for. I started reading a book called The Complete Guide to Hypnosis by Leslie LeCron, a PhD psychologist, who's no longer with us, unfortunately. But his book was really good and really simple. And I was in military school and started hypnotizing my roommates. And then I realized I could use my powers for good, to help people. So I started helping people. I started helping the athletes run more efficiently and the smart kids study more efficiently. And all these years later, it's the same thing, except the smart kids are NASA and the athletes are the Dodgers.
Okay. Now, here's the question that I've heard in the past. Is hypnotherapy real?
Well, is anything real? I mean, we could answer that on so many different levels. Hypnotherapy.
How about this? Is it something that you can say absolutely works?
Yes, just like anything else, just like heart surgery, for example, it has a percentage of times that it will work and a percentage of times that it won't work. And the way you can kind of predict the way it'll go. There's a Harvard and Stanford got together and created the hypnotic scale of susceptibility, they call it. I prefer the word suggestibility, but they created that in the late 50s, early 60s of the last century. And it's just a scale. You can get rated on a scale, and there's even a self-assessment test you can take and see how suggestible you are. So that could be that can determine, or that can indicate the degree of success you will have. But I don't worry so much about that because I figure that if someone is lower on the suggestibility level, then increased exposure would help. So that's why I recommend 21 nights of listening to a hypnosis audio. In case their hypnotic aptitude isn't quite where I'd want it to be, they can still get the change just by, it just being drilled into their head. It's like a song that you hear. You may not even like the song, but next thing you know, it's just playing in your head.
Exactly, and that's the power of the subconscious brain.
Yep.
Awesome. Now, Dr. Steve, when you were going towards either your doctor or your hypnosis school, was there anyone who stood out and basically gave you a bit of advice that really helped you?
There were lots of people, absolutely. And one person I recall in particular told me to just focus on helping, giving. That's going to be the main thing that drives everything. A lot of people get caught up in things and they go into something because they think they're going to make a lot of money at it. And they would just as well paint a wall for money as they would, become a therapist. And so if you have a situation like that, that doesn't really have legs. It's not really going to, allow them to move into the future and sustain that. So what does have longevity, I found, is just more of a general concept of, I want to give, I want to help. And this is the capacity in which I do that, the self-help arena, and specifically hypnosis.
That's powerful. Now, Dr. Steve, in your journey or process through hypnosis, is there a specific habit or ritual that you have applied to your life to help you become more where you want to go?
Absolutely. One of the main ones that I use is just reframing things. So when I say something like, "Oh, that was so stupid. I'm so stupid. How could I do that?" We all say things like that. And the trick is to catch yourself and not to beat yourself up. Just, you're human. You say things like that. Sometimes it's from the past. You never know. A lot of it is. And then to reframe it right then and there. I am getting better, or I'm getting smarter all the time. I'm constantly educating myself. So instead of saying I'm stupid, which indicates a lack of knowledge, you can say the same thing in a more positive way. I'm getting smarter all the time.
I agree with that. I agree with that completely. It reminds me of, if you go up to somebody, it's the difference between asking somebody what's wrong with you and asking somebody what's troubling you.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay. The one is attacking the person as an individual, and the other is attacking the situation.
Oh, so what's troubling you would be from the outside, and what's
Exactly.
wrong with them, they generated it themselves. Yeah.
Exactly.
Excellent point. I like that.
Because for some people, if you get somebody walking up to you and saying, "What is wrong with you?" Most people, or myself included, tends to internalize that and saying that there's something wrong with me internally. Versus if there's something troubling me, it could be something outside of myself that I have no control over, or it could be this one issue that isn't me.
Yeah, yeah, very good. It gives you more power, I think, in the moment. And I think that's a big part of the beauty of what you're saying. Yeah, very nice.
But not everyone pays attention to the, I'm going to say, song that they play in their brain or that they say to other people.
Absolutely. And that's the way you get more of the same. You know, you keep playing the same songs, you're going to get the same results, as you well know. And that's the trap people get into, the comfort zone, the things they're familiar with, and the things that bring them peace. They trade an exciting, adventurous future for all of that safety.
Yes, yes. So in that type of context, is that where hypnotherapy could come in and help?
Oh, yeah, that's one of the contexts in which it can help. Absolutely. You can break your thermostat. So the thermostat, how much money we can make, how happy we can be, and all of that. And it's determined a lot by our youth and what's programmed into our brains at that point. Hypnotherapy gets in there and says, all right, that's arbitrary. You just made that up from stuff you heard from people. Now we're going to set it to something that you want it to be. So instead of it being a thermostat where it lowers the temperature if things get too hot in your life, it's gone. So now you can heat it up and, just run with it.
Absolutely. And it sounds like hypnotherapy is the one thing that can help you unlock that door to really tap into what some people call the law of attraction and allow more things of happiness and whatever you're looking for to come towards you.
It's one of the ways, yes. It's one of the tools you can have in your toolbox to help you get to where you want to be. Absolutely.
Now, Dr. Steve, what is one resource, aside from the book that you previously mentioned, that you really use to help you in your journey to become this hypnotherapist as well as doctor?
Now, when you say a tool, do you mean maybe a book that I read that I kind of hinge my beliefs on?
Why did you want to become a doctor? Why did you want to become a hypnotherapist?
Well, I wanted to. Well, first, my career is. We're talking about two different things. My doctorate is in education, so it's a mainstream doctorate at an actual university, brick and mortar, a Carnegie Tier 1 university that does research and all that. It's been around for a long time. And then my hypnotherapy career, which is outside of academia. So what I really wanted to do was to bring more of the mainstream grounding to what I was doing by becoming a doctor, by getting my doctorate in educational administration, because a lot of hypnosis is unclear. What can you expect from a hypnotherapist? What's the standard of care when you go into a hypnotherapist? There isn't one, at least not on a national level. So I wanted to bring in some sort of standard credentialing that people could relate to. Yes, I'm a hypnotherapist, but I've also got this doctorate in education. And so what I do is going to be more researched, and I'm not just going to be saying things that I think sound good. I'm going to be sharing with you things that have a foundation to them.
Absolutely. They have the experience and more than one thing to back up the fact.
Yeah, there you go.
Now, Dr. Steve, do you have a specific book that, in a hypothetical world, if all the books were all given away and you only had enough money to get one book, but it could be any book, what one book would you get that changed your life?
Probably Siddhartha, a book by Herman Hesse about the Buddha. And it talks about detachment. In the book, Siddhartha was very successful in business. He did very well, but he also didn't care. He wasn't attached to the results. He was just living his life, expressing himself, doing what a human should do. And when he put his energy toward business, it just so happened that did well because he focused on what he wanted. So that book, it's not a very thick book either. It's a fairly thin book. So Siddhartha by Herman Hesse would be the one book that I would want. And I think that made a big impact in my life. Don't get really caught up in the results. Do your thing, realize your part in the world, and that's the best you can do.
Wow. So that book is allowing you to understand that it's okay to not be emotionally attached to every single outcome.
Yes, exactly. And that gives you a lot of power because things will not work out all the time. Things will work out if you persist, but it's not always going to go that way. It's not always going to be a sunny day where everything's just right. And so having that attitude during those times allows you to kind of float above that. And it's not that you don't care at all. Like you said, your emotions aren't tied up in that result. Yes, you're working toward it. Yes, your intentions are to complete that. And yes, you will complete it, but you won't get emotionally caught up in the ups and downs.
Absolutely. And it allows you, if you have two planes like this, it allows you to go in the middle instead of going up high and down low. It allows you to keep it right here where you still have highs and lows, but they aren't near as impactful to what you're doing. It doesn't cripple you from moving forward.
Very good. Very well said. Yes.
Thank you. Now, Dr. Steve, in your experience, if you had to go back in time, perhaps to when you were a young kid or when you were having a difficult situation, is there any advice that you wish that you would have known then that you now know?
Yeah, I pretty much sum it up as, everything will work out eventually. And what that would give me as a kid would be that Siddhartha type approach. I didn't read that book until I was about 20. I was in college. But that would give me the idea of, okay, I'm doing this and this doesn't seem to be working or it's difficult, just understanding that with the proper intention, everything is going to work out. There's no need to stress about it. There's no need to, get emotionally upset by anything. And that goes for the highs also, like you said, with your zone you're talking about. When things go really well, don't get too set on that because that could change also.
Absolutely. So it teaches you to become, we call it limitless, but also in a way neutral.
Yes, very well put. Both of those are very accurate, yes.
Well, Dr. Steve G. Jones, what is the best way for our viewers and listeners to get in contact with you to learn more about all these exciting projects that you have going on, as well as just connect with you?
Yeah, well, the best way would be my website, just stevegjones.com. And we don't have all of the things there that I'm working on, but we have a lot of the ones that are very helpful for people and very easy to use and very straightforward. We have those there at stevegjones.com, not to mention a free resource. We have a free wealth building hypnosis audio. So that's absolutely at no charge. So I'm honored to give that away to your viewers to help them move forward in their lives.
Absolutely. That sounds exciting.
Yes.
Well, Dr. Steve G. Jones, thank you very, very much for your time.
Donovan, my pleasure. This has been inspirational. What a great way to start my day off and just, really on a positive note. So thank you for having me. Thank you for all the work that you're doing. I know our mutual friend, Joe Vitale, mentioned me to you. So thank you to Joe. He's a wonderful person. I'll be seeing him very soon at our New York office, and I will thank him in person.
Absolutely. Well, I'm sure that the Limitless viewers have been inspired by your story. I know that I absolutely have my mind blown by everything that you had to say. It's been amazing.
Thank you, Donovan.
Until next time, this is Donovan saying, stay limitless.
Well, that's a wrap. Please make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the word subscribe. And if you want to go deeper on learning on what you need to do to hunt your future, make sure you watch the interview that I've done with Donovan on what you need to do to hunt your future on every aspect of your being. This allows you to live a limitless life on every aspect of your life starting from today's forward. Plus, you are going to receive tips and tricks on what you need to do to tackle your day, tackle your challenges on every situation, every single time. So go ahead and download it right now. And until then, stay limitless forever.